Hey guys, it's Friday. I missed last week. Sorry about that. But this week I'm going to be playing the Azorius Cloudshift combo. So this is basically just a blue-white combo deck. So I'll show you the combo. We're starting with Cloudshift here. It's a 1-mana instant. Exile target creature you control. Then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So it just it flickers a creature. But we're going to play also a 4-pack of Archaeomancers in here. So what the deck is all about is targeting Archaeomancer with the Cloudshift. So you exile the Archaeomancer. It re-enters the battlefield. It triggers, and then you get to take the Cloudshift back to your hand. So essentially what you're doing is just, if you have 5 or 6 white mana, you do this 5 or 6 times in a row. Just, you keep flickering your Archaeomancer and getting your Cloudshift back. And then you take a card like Talrand, which triggers every time you cast an instant or sorcery. You get a 2/2 Drake, or you take a card like Sphinx Bonewand, which builds up charge counters. And once you assemble the combo, which is Cloudshift Archaeomancer plus either one of Talrand or Bonewand, you pretty much just it's pretty difficult to lose once you get that 3-card combo on the go. So that's what we're going to be playing. So as far as the combo goes, I'm running all 4 pieces of Cloudshift because it's one of our, obviously it's one of our core pieces. Whoops! I'm running all 4 copies of Archaeomancer. Again, it's critical to the combo, so we're going to run as many pieces as we can. Talrand, we're allowed to run 2, so I'm going to run both. He is legendary, but you can cast this guy on 5 mana with Cloudshift backup. And they try to remove him, you just flicker him, create a Drake, and then untap with him. So he's pretty strong, so we're going to play both copies there. And I'm only playing 1 Sphinx Bonewand, even though we could play 2. It's a 7-mana card, doesn't really do much the turn it comes in, so I don't really want to see multiples of this. So rather than play 2, I'm playing 1, and I've got a Kozilek where that other Bonewand would be. Essentially, I'm playing this guy, more for the reshuffle than I am for the 12/12 Annihilator, draw 4 cards. But we're playing a control deck that's drawn a lot of cards, and 10 mana for a hard cast isn't out of the question. But like I said, the main reason he's the elixir of immortality for the deck. If your Bonewand gets answered, or if I'm playing Planar Cleansing in this deck. So if you have to sweep away your own win cons, or if your opponent deals with them, then eventually you draw into Kozilek, and he either wins you the game or he reshuffles your win conditions, and you get to start all over. So that's the combo. Excuse me. So there's 2 other parts. First of all, we're going to draw a ton of cards, and then we're going to play a bit of defense and have a little bit of removal. So as far as card draw goes, I'm playing the Wall of Omens, all 3 copies. 0/4 Defender, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So this is again, so it stops the aggro decks. Puts you blocks a lot of damage in the early game, and it gets you a card when it comes in. It also plays well with Cloudshift. You can Cloudshift it to draw a card, so you can say chump block a 6/6 or a 5/5 or something. Then you can flicker it, negate the damage, draw a card, which is pretty excellent. And also playing all 4 copies of Archaeomancer. I mean, that gives us the flexibility to really Cloudshift aggressively. So you can play a turn 2 Wall of Omens to draw a card, and then on turn 3, if you don't have anything to do with your mana, you can just Cloudshift it, because until you get your combo online, Cloudshift doesn't do a whole lot. So you can just use it to draw a card, and then when you finally get an Archaeomancer, you can just yank it back into your hand. So that's why we're playing those. We're going to play all 4 copies of Think Twice. Obviously, this is great with the Talrand or the Bonewand, because it only occupies 1 deck slot, but you get to cast it twice and draw a couple of cards. So we're going to be playing all of those, and also for card draw, we are going to play all 4 copies of Inspiration, because it's a draw 2 instant speed, and we can get it back through Archaeomancer. So I mean, the name of the game here is just assemble the combo as fast as we can. So we're going to play all the draw we can. I was debating playing Courier's Capsule in these 4 slots, because the deck doesn't have a whole lot to do on turn 2. So playing a Capsule, means that we only have to pay 2 mana for our Inspiration later on. But I that's something that I'm going to think about as I play the deck. But I like Inspiration just because it's instant speed. So that could be a thing that I maybe change in the future. But Archaeomancer can't get back a Capsule, so I mean there's also that. So we'll see if it matters. So then we'll look at the defense. So we're defending ourselves obviously with the Wall of Omens that we talked about. We're defending ourselves with Brimaz. He's a 3/4 for 3 mana, and he's got Vigilance. So he's also like a minor win condition against the slower control decks that don't play many creatures, because you can just start attacking with them. But mostly he's there just to block, and to he's difficult to remove because 4 toughness, and he blocks really well. So I mean that's why he's here in the deck. Same thing with Baneslayer Angel. She's here to play defense mostly. I mean, what more needs to be said? You can read the card. She's pretty insane. And with either of these creatures, I mean, if your opponent points removal at it, you can just Cloudshift it to save it. You know, so it's that's pretty excellent. We're also playing 3 copies of Guard Gamazoa, 3 mana, 1/3 Flying Defender, and you prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to it. So it can kill tokens, and outside of a spell, they can't kill it in combat. It shuts down a ton of huge creatures, something like Nemesis Immortals can't get through it. You know, Tramplers can trample over it like Palaka Worms, Terra Stompers, but there aren't too many of those in the game that really we need to worry about. Guard Gamazoa is a really excellent card in this deck to buy a bunch of time while we sit back and draw some cards. So that's really the defense. So now I'll just go to the bottom and talk about any cards I haven't talked about. So Cloudshift, we talked about. Wall of Omens we did. So another thing about the Archaeomancer is that I'm going to play a little bit of a toolbox with my instants and sorceries, because since we can get instants and sorceries back out of the graveyard with, you know, we're running 4 Archaeomancers, we can run a bunch of singleton spells and potentially cast them multiple times because we can just drag them back based on the matchup. So one of those spells I'm running is Reprisal. Instant speed, 2 mana, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. So I mean, that's a it's a good spell as a one-off. I don't really like to play too many copies of it, but when it's good, and the ability to drag it back with Archaeomancer is really good. Another thing you can do whenever you have one of these cards in the graveyard and an Archaeomancer on board, you know, you can Cloudshift your Archaeomancer to get back your instant and then cast it straight out of your graveyard. We can do the same with Dissolve. Can't do it with Angelic Edict because it's a sorcery. But again, we're playing Angelic Edict because it's good against Kozilek. It's good against opposing enchantments. It's just hard removal. It's 5 mana, sorcery speeds. You know, it's expensive, but it hits pretty much everything that you want it to do. And the exile is relevant, and the ability to hit enchantments is sometimes relevant as well. So, going to play that. We're going to play both copies of Planar Cleansing because essentially in the early turns we're just setting up. You know, there's not too many permanents in this deck, and the ones that we have are there mainly for defense. So we really don't mind blowing them up if it sets the opponent back, and then we get to just assemble a combo and win after that. And with the amount of cards that this deck draws, you know, 2 copies, we'll see this fairly often. So obviously we talked about Think Twice. Playing 1 Peel from Reality in here. It requires 2 targets, 1 on each side. But I think the upside, considering that we're playing Archaeomancer, is you know, it makes it worth to play this card instead of Voyage's End. So you can, you know, I'm playing this mainly to bounce an opposing creature. Like I said, the unfortunate part is you need a creature on your side in order to be able to cast this thing. That's a bit of a downside. But if you have an Archaeomancer in hand, you just bounce your opponent's dude, bounce your own Archaeomancer, and then you recast the Archaeomancer and maybe go get this thing back. And you just keep doing that, you know. So I think one copy of Peel. This was released with the new DLC. So I think it's worth it in here. With, you know, since we're playing 4 copies of Archaeomancer, let us bounce it and reuse it. Talked about the Gamazoa, and also we're playing Control, so we're going to play 3 copies of Dissolve. I don't want to play too many counter spells in this deck, but Dissolve's a nice hard counter with Scry, so we're going to play all those. And like I said, if you have an Archaeomancer on board, you can shift your Archaeomancer, grab a Dissolve out of the graveyard, and counter whatever stuff your opponent happens to throw at you. So it's nice to have. Talked about Talrand, talked about Archaeomancer, Inspiration, obviously, Sphinx Bone 1, and Kozilek. So yeah, that's the deck. Look at the mana base here, split right down the middle. You know, 4 gates and 10 and 10. The reason for that is, well, basically we've got double weight on Brimaz. We want to be able to cast Wall of Omens on turn 2. We've got triple weight on Planar Cleansing, so we do have some heavy weight requirements. Double weight on Baneslayer as well. But we also want to be able to cast Think Twice on the 2nd turn. And we want to be able to Dissolve, and we want to be able to play Talrand and Archaeomancer. So, you know, it's the mana requirements of the deck are pretty even. So I think an even split down the middle is pretty good. The only thing about the combo is that Cloudshift requires white mana, so you can only combo as many times as you have white sources. So you can't spend blue mana on your combo. So I mean, I kind of wanted to dip a little bit more into white for that, but you know, the ability to Dissolve and cast your Archaeomancers and Talrands on time is it's a bit too important, so I just cut it right down the middle. Anyway, that's the deck I'm going to be playing for the week. Hope you like it, the Cloudshift combo. So I mean, I'm sure probably this late in the game's life cycle, most people are aware of it. This is just this is where I'm at with my version of it. So hope you enjoy this deck for the week, and we'll see you for some gameplay shortly.